Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Burning Rome Rants yet again. Well, I decided to do a little bit of a discussion on gynocentrism. That Tildeer actually inherently pointed this out, and I think it's a fair discussion to be had. Let me define that. In a sense, gynocentrism is the fact that women, we don't seem to care about issues until they involve or happen to women. Well, that could be debated here or there. It really doesn't matter. However, does it have some merit to it? That's really the big question that I think a lot of people have trouble kind of having a pill to swallow. Maybe it does have some merit to it. Let's go for an instance here. Recently, as some of you know, there was a bill proposed in Congress to force women to sign up for the draft, as men have been having to do since, the Revolutionary War. Well, just right after it, really. Well, many people, and a lot of actually third-wave feminists, have come out not supporting this. Surprise, surprise. We want equality, but that's the wrong kind of equality. We don't want that kind of equality. They tend to have a petition that also had reached 11,000 signatures to annul the draft so women would not have to participate in it. So now, the draft has become an issue, magically. Now that it's happening to women all of a sudden. That doesn't seem necessarily right to me. It's this whole issue. I mean, that kind of shows it as a major issue that we need to deal with, is that it has to happen to women before we care about it. I think that's why suicide rates will only be addressed when it becomes a major issue for the female gender, and we deal with that. But in the sense, like the draft, to use as an example, men had to sign up for it. We still have to get a driver's license. This is for the United States audience. To get a driver's license, to vote, to get student aid of any kind, and that's just a ridiculous caveat to it. Why should someone get all the rights, but none of the responsibilities that come with those rights? They seem to be fine with that. But then they're complaining that this would take away those rights, and then it would totally destroy their autonomy. Listen, when I sign up for the draft, I lose my autonomy. People go, oh, you don't lose it that instant? No, we don't. But we have the plausibility to lose it at any instant. And that's the inherent point. We lose our autonomy by merely signing up for it, just to be able to go to college, just to be able to get a driver's license, just to be able to vote. And because that's the caveat to voting, is the ability to sign up for the draft. So what we have to realize is that maybe people like Tildeer are onto something here with this definition of gynocentrism, and is it real? Well, maybe this actually kind of proves it a little bit, that it's kind of a valid thing to bring up, that no one cared about the draft, and it was before people say, oh, there hasn't been a draft since Vietnam. That has not stopped numerous times since Desert Storm. People attempting to reinstate the draft. And I think the most recent was during the Iraq War of 2003, where it came actually damn near close to passing, and we would have had a draft. That is not cool, in my opinion. I'm not for the draft in any means. I think it should be abolished, but just because I don't think it's right for the government to hold my autonomy like that. Which I think it's fair grounds to want it abolished. But why was this a non-issue until it could have maybe happened to young women? Why was it a non-issue? Why weren't we talking about this long before as an issue of the draft, of taking away people's autonomy and what they can and can't do? So, of the utmost importance, I think, is that we need to start taking maybe this gynocentrism view a bit more seriously. Maybe it isn't just crazy-ass MGTOW people who, and I'm not talking about say all MGTOW are crazy, because they're not. Many of them are very nice people who just want to go their own way. But some of them are fucking crazy. Maybe some of this has an inherent view and is correct in the sense that we don't seem to give a damn about issues until they happen to young women all of a sudden. Then we care about them. That's the minute we care about them. Like, for instance, when a young woman is murdered, it's a big, huge uproar, it's a deal. But men are murdered numerous times every day, constant assaults, and no one cares. It's like the rape statistics on campus. No one cares. Also, another thing is the whole wage gap thing. People seem to care when it's 77 cents to every man's dollar, even though it's an earnings gap. The earnings gap is the same size between a white American man and a Asian American man. So why isn't this an issue too? This seems to be a massive problem, and maybe this mentality of having to look through the world has an inherent point to it. I don't mean to be negative or any sort of thing, but maybe it's time that we consider that maybe this has a valid viewpoint. Maybe we need to stop writing people off as people who are just wrong about it. Maybe they're like, oh, they're wrong because it's sexist. Maybe they're right, because I've started to notice it myself, especially with this draft issue coming up, and seeing numerous comments on things like the Daily Show's page where they post about it, of third-wave feminists going, no, they shouldn't, because women's are not, oh no, they shouldn't because women's, that's because my vagina, or some, it's always idiotic reasoning. And even the ones that say, yeah, I support it, but there's a caveat of non-combat roles. They don't want equality. They wanted all the rights, but none of the responsibilities. That's the wrong kind of equality. They wanted all of the rights they could have, which they do have, and none of the responsibilities that came with it. So that's going to be where I'm dropping this here. I want y'all to think about something. Alright, check you guys later.